Welcome back to Reform Thinking.
Glad to be here.
Today we're doing another deep dive into the Pilgrim's Progress.
That's right. We're looking specifically at, well, a really significant part. Christian getting up the hill difficulty, and then his stay at the palace beautiful.
Yeah, it's quite a sequence. We've been looking closely at the text itself, the original source, and some notes around it.
And the goal, as always, is to really unpack what Bunyan's showing us here. We want to pull out the key insights from this section to help you better understand Christian's path and, well, what it might mean.
Okay, so let's get into it. Christian shows up at the foot of this hill, and Bunyan calls it difficulty. Pretty straightforward name.
And he's not alone when he arrives. There are a couple other guys with him. And there's a spring there, too, the text mentions, for refreshment. Christian drinks from it.
Right, refreshment before the climb. But then there's this choice, isn't there? Right there at the bottom.
Exactly. A critical choice. The main path, the right way, goes straight up this very steep hill, difficulty. But then there are these two other paths, sort of branching off to the sides. They look easier.
They look easier. And they have names, too.
Oh, yes. Danger and destruction. Bunyan isn't subtle about where those paths lead.
No, not at all. So Christian sees this steep path, the official way, and these alternatives. What's his move?
He picks the hard one, goes straight up the hill, and the text gives his reason pretty clearly. He figures the way to life lies here. He understands this is the appointed way, even if it's hard.
Makes sense. What about the other two, the ones who arrived with him?
Well, they see how steep it is, and they bail. They take the easier-looking options, the one who picks danger. He wanders off into some woods and gets lost. Never heard from again, basically.
Okay. And the other one, destruction.
He heads off towards some dark mountains, stumbles, falls, and the text says he rose no more. So yeah, those easy ways weren't so easy in the end.
Wow. That paints a stark picture right away. The choice matters immensely. So, Christian starts climbing the difficulty. It's not just a walk in the park, though.
Oh, definitely not. Bunyan describes it really vividly. He starts off trying to run up it, but it's too steep. He has to slow down to a walk. And then before long, it's so steep he's actually scrambling on his hands and knees.
Hands and knees. It really conveys that physical effort, the struggle involved.
This does. It shows this isn't just a mental ascent. It's a hard climb.
But there is some relief partway up. The arbor?
Yes. About midway up, there's this pleasant little shelter, an arbor, and the text specifically says the Lord of the Hill built it for tired travelers. A place of intended rest.
Sounds like just what Christian needed after that climb.
For sure. He stops there, sits down, takes out his roll, that certificate he got at the cross, and reads it for comfort. He also looks over his coat, the one the Shining Ones gave him. He's reflecting, seeking some spiritual encouragement.
Okay, so he takes a breather, reads his roll, remembers the grace he received. Seems like a good pause. What happens then?
Well, this is where things go a bit wrong. While he's resting there, he nods off. It starts as just a light sleep, a slumber. But then he falls into a really deep sleep.
A deep sleep in this resting place.
Yes. And the crucial thing is, while he's asleep, he loses his roll. It must have fallen from his hand or his pocket. And he sleeps for a long time, until it's almost dark.
He loses the roll. Oh, that's bad. That's his assurance, isn't it? His pass, essentially. How could he sleep so soundly he'd lose that?
It's a cautionary moment, right? It shows the danger of, well, spiritual carelessness, maybe. Even in a place meant for rest, you can let your guard down too much. Someone wakes him up, actually, quoting Proverbs about the sluggard and the ant.
A sharp wake-up call.
Yeah. And the consequence is pretty serious. It's delayed him hugely. The day is almost gone.
So he gets himself together, finally reaches the top of the hill after that scramble, but the day is almost over. And his welcome isn't exactly peaceful either, is it?
No, not immediately. As soon as he crests the hill, he sees two men running frantically back towards him, down the path he just came up.
Ah, these must be Timorous and Mistrust. Fitting names again. What's got them so spooked?
They tell Christian they're hightailing it out of there because of danger just ahead. They saw, and I quote, a couple of lions in the way.
Yeah.
And they were convinced the lions were going to pull us in pieces. Fear just completely overtook them.
Okay, seeing two guys running for their lives yelling about lions, that probably shakes Christian up a bit too.
It definitely does. The text says fear grips him. He pauses, but then he thinks it through. If he goes back, he's heading back to the city of destruction, certain doom. If he goes forward, okay, there's this fear of death, these lions. But beyond that is the goal, life everlasting.
So he weighs the options, fear of death versus certainty of destruction.
Right. And he chooses to press on. He resolves to face the danger ahead rather than turn back.
That takes courage. After that decision, what does he do? Does he try to comfort himself?
Yes, that's exactly his instinct.
Yeah.
After that scary encounter, he reaches into his pocket, or wherever he kept it, for his roll. He wants to read it for reassurance. And it's gone. He feels around, checks himself, and realizes his roll is missing.
Oh, man. First a scare with timorous and mistrust. Now he realizes his assurance is gone. That must have been a terrible moment.
Absolutely devastating. Bunyan describes him as being in great distress, utterly perplexed. He calls the roll his comfort, his pass into the celestial city, his assurance of his life and acceptance. Losing it feels like losing everything.
Does he figure out where he lost it?
Yeah, his mind goes back. He remembers falling asleep in that arbor halfway down the hill, and it clicks. That must be where he dropped it.
So he's just climbed this incredibly steep hill, reached the top, faced down his fear of turning back, and now he has to go back down.
He has to. There's no other way. He decides he must retrace his steps, find that roll, and he asks God to forgive him for the foolish act of sleeping like that.
That trip back down must have felt very different from the climb up.
Oh, completely. The text really emphasizes his sorrow, his self-blame. He's beating himself up over the wasted time, the extra steps, and now he's really worried about night falling completely before he can get back up the hill again, being benighted, as Bunyan puts it.
So he makes it back down to the arbor.
He does. He gets back there, sits down again, but this time he's weeping, just full of regret for his carelessness.
Does he find it?
Yes, finally. After weeping and searching, he looks down under the settle, under the bench, basically. And there it is, his roll.
What a relief that must have been.
Huge relief. The text says he grabs it quickly, trembling, but also full of joy and gratitude. He thanks God for directing his eye to it.
And then, does he linger?
No, he gets going right away. He heads back up the rest of the hill. And interestingly, the source says he goes much more nimbly this second time. Maybe the relief gives him energy.
Makes sense. He's got his assurance back. But that sleep still cost him time, didn't it?
It did. By the time he reaches the top of the hill for the second time, the sun has set. It's dark. And that darkness immediately brings his sinful sleep back to mind. He remembers why it's dark, because he wasted daylight sleeping. And that renews his fear about those lions he heard about.
Okay, so it's dark. He's just recovered his roll. He's worried about lions. But then he sees something hopeful.
Yes. Just as he's feeling that fear in the darkness, he looks up and sees this stately palace right beside the road. It's called Beautiful. He hurries towards it, hoping he can get lodging there for the night.
A palace named Beautiful sounds promising, but getting there isn't straightforward either, is it? He runs into the very thing timorous and mistrust warned him about.
Exactly. As he gets near the entrance, near the porter's lodge, he sees them. 2 lions, one on each side of the path, in a narrow passage.
Okay, there they are. Real lions. How does he react this time?
Well, he's definitely scared again. He actually thinks about turning back, just like timorous and mistrust did. And Bunyan adds a crucial detail here. Christian saw the lions, but he saw not the chains. He perceived the threat, but not the restraint on the threat.
Ah, he didn't see they were chained, but someone helps him see that.
Yes. There's a porter at the gate of the palace. His name is Watchful, another great name. He sees Christian hesitating, looking like he's about to bolt.
What does Watchful the porter do?
Watchful calls out to him, tells him not to be afraid, explains the lions are chained. They've been placed there specifically for trial of faith, to test pilgrims. They can roar, but they can't reach anyone who stays on the path.
And he gives him instructions.
Yes, Watchful tells him very clearly, keep in the midst of the path, stay right in the center, and you'll be safe.
And Christian does it. He walks between roaring lions.
Yes, he follows Watchful's instructions, keeps to the middle of the path, and walks right between them. The text says they roared, and he was still trembling with fear, but he passed safely.
That's a powerful image. Understanding the situation, following guidance, allows him to pass a danger that seemed overwhelming.
Right. It shows fear can be managed with the right knowledge and obedience. So he makes it past the lions and gets to the gate, where he starts talking with Watchful.
Okay, safe past the lions, finally at the gate. He has a chat with Watchful, the porter. What do they talk about?
It's kind of an initial screening, you could say. Watchful asks the standard questions. Where are you from? City of Destruction? Where are you headed? Mount Zion? What's your name? Christian, though, he adds, he used to be called Graceless.
Does he have to explain why he's showing up after dark?
Yes. Watchful asks about that. Christian tells him the whole story, falling asleep in the arbor, losing his roll, having to go all the way back down the hill to find it, and that's why he's so late.
Watchful accepts his story.
Seems so. After hearing him out, Watchful rings a bell, and this calls out one of the residents of the palace, a woman named Discretion.
Discretion, another significant name. What does she do?
She comes out and talks with Christian too, asks him more about his travels, what he's seen, who he's met along the way, confirms his name again. She wants to understand his pilgrimage so far.
And once she's satisfied.
She calls for others from the household, prudence, piety, and charity. It's quite the welcoming committee.
And they welcome him in.
Yes, they bring him into the palace beautiful. They explain that the Lord of the Hill built this place specifically for the relief and security of pilgrims. It's designed to entertain and support people like Christian on their way. It's a place of spiritual community and rest.
Before they even eat, they sit down and talk. It sounds quite structured.
Very intentional. Bunyan says they engage in discourse before supper for the best improvement of time. They want to use this time for spiritual benefit. Piety, prudence, and charity each talk with him.
Okay, what does piety ask about?
Piety focuses on his journey so far, what got him started. He mentions the dread of destruction and Evangelist pointing him to the wicket gate. She asks about the interpreter's house. He talks about seeing Christ maintaining grace despite sin, the man in despair, the judgment dream, the man fighting his way into the palace.
Kind of reviewing the key lessons he's learned.
Exactly. She also asks what he saw at the cross burden falling, the shining ones, forgiveness, the coat, the mark, the roll. He also mentions the sleepers, simple, sloth, and presumption, and the hypocrites' formality and hypocrisy climbing the wall. He wraps up by acknowledging how hard the hill was, the scare with the lions, and thanking the porter.
So piety covers the external journey and foundational experiences. What about prudence?
Prudence probes more into his internal state. Does he still think about his home country? He says yes, but with shame and disgust now, desiring the heavenly one. She asks about those inward and carnal cogitations, those sinful thoughts that linger. He admits they grieve him and are hard to shake off.
Does he ever get victory over them?
Prudence asks that too. He says rarely, only during what he calls golden hours. And he explains how he gets that victory. By thinking about the cross, looking at his coat, reading his roll, or focusing on his destination, Mount Zion.
So specific spiritual practices help him fight internal battles.
Right. And finally, Prudence asks why he wants to get to Mount Zion so badly. He lists several reasons. To see Christ alive, to be free from all his current troubles and sins, to live forever without death, to be with like-minded people, and ultimately, to be fully eased of his burden by Christ himself.
That gives a real insight into his motivations and struggles. Then Charity speaks with him.
Yes. Charity asks about the family he left behind, his wife and 4 children. He gets quite emotional, explaining they were completely against him coming. He tried warning them, sharing his fears, praying for them, showing his distress, but they just mocked him or didn't believe.
Why wouldn't they come?
He explains his wife was afraid of losing the things of this world, and his children were caught up in youthful pleasures. Charity then asks a tough question. Did his own life, maybe his own failings, put them off?
Oof. How does he answer that?
He's honest. He admits he can't boast about his own perfection. He knows he had failings, but he says he tried hard not to give unnecessary offense. He actually thinks if anything turned them off, it was his change, his great tenderness in sinning against God, which they saw as him being overly strict or too precise.
So his attempt at holiness was seen as a negative.
That's how he perceives it.
Mm-hmm.
And Charity's conclusion from this is rather stark. She says it shows they are implacable to good, basically set against it.
That's heavy. After all this intense conversation, they finally have supper.
Yes. And the conversation continues, but the focus shifts. The text says all their talk was about the Lord of the Hill.
What specifically about him?
They discuss his deeds, how he was a great warrior who fought and defeated the one who had the power of death, shedding his own blood out of pure love. They talk about why he built this very house, his love for pilgrims, how he humbled himself, leaving glory, wanting companions in Zion, making pilgrims into princes. Some even mention having spoken with him after his resurrection. It's all centered on Christ.
Wow, what a contrast to the struggles and fears outside. So after that, he finally gets some proper rest.
Yes, they commit themselves to God's care, and Christian is shown to a large upper room called Peace. It has a window facing the east, towards the sunrise. And there, he sleeps soundly until morning.
So the next morning arrives. Does Christian head straight out?
Not immediately. There's more conversation first, and then the family offers to show him some of the rarities of the Palace Beautiful, things worth seeing.
Okay, like a tour. Where do they take him first?
First, they go to the study. There they show him ancient records, really important documents, things like the family history, the pedigree of the Lord of the Hill, showing he's the son of the Ancient of Days.
So, establishing Christ's divine identity. What else?
They show records of his actions, his mighty deeds, also lists of his faithful servants where they lived securely, and accounts of their own amazing acts. Things like subduing kingdoms, stopping lions' mouths, echoes of Hebrews 11.
Right, the history of faith.
Yeah, and records showing the Lord's willingness to forgive even those who had really opposed him. Plus other histories, prophecies about the future, predictions. It's like a deep dive into salvation history and God's faithfulness.
Sounds like powerful encouragement. Where next? The armory.
Yes, and they take him to the armory. And this is significant. They show him all manner of furniture, meaning equipment, provided for pilgrims, everything needed for spiritual warfare.
What kind of equipment?
Sword, shield, helmet, breastplate, all prayer, which likely means prayer itself as a weapon or maybe something facilitating prayer, and shoes that wouldn't wear out. The text makes a point that there was enough there for vast numbers of people, not just him.
So God's provision is abundant. Do they show him anything else there?
Yes. They also show him some specific, maybe unusual engines or tools that God's servants used in the past to do amazing things, like Moses' rod, Jael's hammer and nail, Gideon's pitchers and trumpets, Shamgar's ox goad, Samson's jawbone, David's sling and stone.
Wow, examples of God using ordinary or maybe unexpected things for great victory.
Exactly. And they also show him the sword that the Lord himself will eventually use to defeat the man of sin. It's a display of God's power and the means he provides.
Christian was ready to leave after this, wasn't he? But they convince him to stay longer.
They do. They suggest he stay one more day so they can show him the Delectable Mountains. They say seeing them will be a further comfort as they're closer to his final destination, the desired haven.
The Delectable Mountains. Sounds nice. Do they show him?
Yes. The next morning, they take him up to the roof of the palace. From there, looking south, he can see this beautiful range of mountains in the distance. They tell him this is Emmanuel's land, a place pilgrims often visit.
And what's special about these mountains?
From there, they tell him, shepherds will eventually show him the very gate of the celestial city. It's a preview, a vision to strengthen him for the road still ahead.
Okay, so he's seen the history, seen the armor, gotten a glimpse of the goal. Now is he ready to leave?
Now he's ready. But before he goes, they take him back to the armory. And this time, they don't just show him the armor, they harnessed him from head to foot with what was of proof. They fully equip him for the dangers and assaults that are sure to come.
They dress him in spiritual armor. That seems vital.
Absolutely presented as essential preparation.
So, fully kitted out, he heads for the gate.
Yes, his new friends walk with him to the gate. He has another word with Watchful, the porter. He asks if any other pilgrims have come through recently.
And Watchful mentions someone Christian knows.
Yes, Watchful says, oh yes, a man named Faithful passed by not long ago. Christian recognizes the name immediately. Faithful is from his same hometown, a neighbor. Watchful adds that Faithful has probably already gotten down the other side of the hill by now.
Ah, so he's not entirely alone on the path ahead. That must be encouraging, too.
Could be. Christian then says his goodbyes, thanks Watchful for all the kindness he was shown at the palace, and steps out, equipped and heading towards those mountains.
Okay, let's try to pull some threads together from this whole section. Looking back at Christian's experience from the bottom of difficulty to leaving the palace beautiful, what are some key things that jump out from the source?
Well, one clear point is that Bunyan shows the path is tough. It's called difficulty for a reason.
Yeah, it's not supposed to be easy. And because it's tough, setbacks can happen. That whole episode in the arbor falling asleep, losing the roll, shows that even when you're trying to rest appropriately, you can slip up. Spiritual drowsiness is a real danger.
But it also shows that losing that assurance, the role, isn't necessarily permanent. He had to go back, face his mistake with sorrow, but he could find it again. Regaining assurance is possible. That's a hopeful note. And then there's the fear aspect, with the lions. Bunyan seems to show that fear is definitely a test, but often the reality behind the fear is less threatening than it first appears if you have the right perspective and guidance. Knowing the lions were chained changed everything.
Right. And the Palace Beautiful itself stands out as this model of, well, essential support for pilgrims. The fellowship, the focused teaching, looking back at God's acts, talking through personal struggles, getting equipped with spiritual armor, getting that vision of the goal.
All these things are presented as vital resources for keeping going on that difficult path. You need community, instruction, equipment, and vision.
And that conversation with Prudence about the carnal cogitations, that those unwanted thoughts, is a reminder too, isn't it? That the internal battle doesn't just stop. Bunyan shows Christian having specific ways to fight back, focusing on the cross, his standing, his assurance, the destination.
So, as you think about these challenges Christian faced, the steep climb, the sleepiness, the fear, the internal battles, and then the help he received at the palace, maybe consider how these map onto things in your own life or ideas you grapple with. What kinds of support, what spiritual resources help you most when things get difficult?
And maybe one last thought to chew on, based just on what Bunyan gives us here. We see several people turn back or fall away, those two guys at the bottom of the hill, timorous and mistrust. Given that reality, what is it about the specific package of support Christian gets at the Palace Beautiful? That combination of community, teaching, armor, and vision that Bunyan seems to suggest is uniquely fitted to help a person actually persevere and keep moving towards the celestial city despite the difficulties.